So at this time, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sergeant Ted Danks. I'm actually the Enid, Oklahoma, Garfield County Coordinator. Terry can't be here. Terry's a little sick this morning. He said he got up with a little bit of a fever. He took meds. About an hour and 45 minutes later, he said he got up and it went up a little higher. So he says, I'm not going to take a chance. So he called me. So here I am, and we've got some good guests. We've got some speakers today. It's still going to be very informative. So at this time, Pastor Bogle, if you would open us in prayer, please. I'd sure appreciate it.
Precious Son, Father, Lord, we just come to you this morning, Lord. We just thank you for today, Lord. Just thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for the beautiful weather. Lord, and I just ask that you just put a band of angels around each person in here today, Lord. Watch over them, protect them. Lord, be in this meeting and give us all the information we need to know. And Lord, we're just going to praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Stand right there, be fine. Follow with me, please. Please rise and stand. Please flag. And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready? Two. You may be seated. First, we're going to have Mayor of Newkirk up, Mr. Hobbs.
I was going to tell them about that, right?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry.
Come on up.
We got something else first. My bad.
Hey, babe. Babe,
I
bring
do
it
like
up.
this.
Bring it up here.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, buddy.
Check this out.
It's always loaded.
We are
Got an eel
with the Cowboy Church out of Newkirk, and we're raising funds to build a new building. And so we're rifling this off. It's a custom-built AR-15. It has the, what do they call those, tac sights?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it also has the laser. I say it is custom-built. We're selling raffle tickets today. They're $25 a piece or 5 for $100. We take checks, credit cards, and we'll take cash with 2 forms of ID. No, they didn't get it. They'll get it later.
Now, how much are those tickets?
They're 25 a piece or 5 for $100.
Well, I'm guaranteed to win, aren't I?
You're guaranteed to be
The tickets are at the back table.
We're only selling 400 total tickets. And drawing meeting.
The odds are a lot better than the lottery then.
Oh, yeah.
The drawing will be on December the 15th. We'll make great Christmas presents.
Well, I wouldn't turn it down. How is everybody this morning? Yeah? Good? Everybody have a good Thanksgiving? Well, where to start since our last time together? I mean, and I hate to get off into politics again, but it seems that it encompasses everything that we're here for. We had a Trump rally at the Capitol. What was it, 2-3 weekends ago? I think it probably was 3 weekends ago now. We had a great turnout. We had a lot of senators and reps there to speak, and there was some good content in that. I've been asked to put another one together. I assembled that one, and I got messaged yesterday or the day before asking to have another one on the 12th. And I can't put into words, I think, how important this election is right now. There is so much at stake right now, and I think everybody probably knows that. If hundreds of thousands of ballots can come in the middle of the night and it's allowed to stand, to me, as a vet, as somebody who took an oath, America's dead for all intents and purposes. I mean, if we cannot validate an election, and further, and I'm trying to do what I can through my friends at the Capitol to make sure that we put something together to make sure that Oklahoma has a pretty good vote counting system. I'm the mayor of my town. When I show up, I still have to present my ID. I can't just walk in and say, hey, I'm Brian. They know who I am. Doesn't matter. You ain't got no ID, better go back to the house. Get it, right? So if we can do that here, why can't every state in the union do the same thing? There's no reason. There's only one reason, and they want to blame racism or some other nonsense to have a valid election. The only real truth is there's only one reason that you would deny that, and that is you want to cheat. And everyone knows it. Everybody knows. Any intellectually honest person knows there's only one reason to do that, and that's to cheat. And so where we go from here is going to be crucial to the future of our republic, in my opinion. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put together another rally at the Capitol for the 12th. I've talked to a few people so far. Of course, like I said, it was just a couple days ago. The first one we only had 48 hours to put together, and I bet there were probably close to 1,000 people there. And so it was a great turnout. We need to keep showing our support, and to me, it's irregardless. I mean, of the turnout. Oklahoma needs to say this is who we are. We're not going to tolerate it, and there are a lot of, it's going to be an interesting year at the Capitol, I'll say that, because some of the people that I know it's going to be an interesting year. I don't want to get into too much of that, but that's regarding that. I wish I knew right after Thanksgiving, I wish I had better news. Wish I had better things to say, but I don't. And but anyway, so having said that, I will make sure. Does everybody? What's the best way to contact everybody in the room? Is it through the Facebook stuff and all that? Okay. Well, I'll make sure and get that out there.
I get emails.
Well, then is that what Terry does? Do you know?
Well, that's why we're asking you to sign in, and if you would please put your email on there.
So we'll put that out there so that people can be informed. If you want to go, you'll know when. My understanding right now is probably going to be about noon, 1-ish at the Capitol on the 12th, tentatively. So regarding that. Anyway, does anybody here have any questions or comments about the recent events with the governor or any of that? Does anybody have any questions I can help them with? Sure.
Well, the governor in Oklahoma is being sued for shutting down the bars to 11 o'clock, and I definitely agree with him. I don't know how anybody else feels. But we certainly need to send either a letter or an email supporting him.
Well, to clarify on that, I know that the guy suing is a friend of mine. His name's Frank Urbanek. Great guy, patriot, veteran. He's a lawyer. The reason, first of all, the governor's not being sued. It's the Oklahoma City. It's Mayor Holt, and I'm going to get into a little bit of that. Thank you for bringing it up. Kevin, great guy. I've supported Kevin since his election. Sorry, representative friend of mine.
Well, one other comment, it is against the Constitution because it says that they can stay open to 2 a.m.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. There are several situations that encompass that. One, they're suing the city of Oklahoma City, and that is because they're targeting one specific demographic there. This isn't a everybody stay home. This is a, well, you can't serve liquor, and it's not even that the places have to shut down. It's that they have to not serve alcohol after 11. Well, which, you know, you can be one way or the other about that. I'm not encouraging people to be out after 11 drinking. Well, my point is the lawsuit is about the fact that they've isolated one part of, and you could say, well, it encourages this or that. You cannot target in this country, in my belief, one institution. It may be churches or restaurants or clothing stores or Walmart, or you can't just go after one area and say that you can't do it. That's the thing. And so they're going after Oklahoma City and not the governor. The other faction to that is this, is the governor, in my view, from my understanding, is he did it by executive order. Now, you all may remember when Barack Obama was president, right? And he had a pen and a phone, and he would do basically whatever he wanted by executive order. And if that's the case, why do we need a legislature? I mean, if our governor can come in and just say, well, you're not doing this, there's a process that has to go through, and it was gone through when this first happened. And some of you were probably here when I discussed that, and I was at the Capitol when that happened, and a good friend of mine is the chairman of public health, and we had a meeting with I was there with him working on some bills, and he happened to have a meeting set up for the Department of Health, and he's the chairman of public health. So we asked them when this first started, how many test kits do you have for the state when this first started? Well, I say when it first started, this was probably the end of March or middle of March. He said 500. We have 500 test kits for 4 million people. Well, I said, well, when are we going to get more? Well, probably a month and a half before we get replenished. Well, that's kind of shutting the barn door after the cows are out. You know, so that's kind of been my thing all along as a mayor, as a you know, a citizen. How do you know how many people actually at that point were exposed or infected? There's no way to prove it at that point, because so many. I mean, I got it. My family burned through my family, my children, my wife. So how many people got exposed in between there that either were sick and never went and got a test because this was new? I think there's been a lot more people exposed than previously maybe thought. And
Well, I think the whole issue here, you just hit it right dead center. You're down there on health issues. And this is why the governor did this. My son is on the governor's special committee for the Oklahoma City area. And the point that the governor was making is that these children are not being fed, they're not getting meals, their parent, particularly the male parent, is not producing the money to support these children. And the state is having to do it.
yeah, the state's been doing it for a long time. There lies the problem. Do the children belong to the state, or do they belong to the parent? My view is they belong to the parent. And as much as I don't want children to suffer, at some point, either we're all going to be wards of the state, or people are going to have to be responsible. And so where do we fall in that category? Me personally, I can't speak for anybody else here. I can only speak for myself. I believe I've got 10 children, for those who don't know that already. And and I would not have had them had the thought crossed my mind that there would be a point that I couldn't take care of them. I've only got 6 left at home now. God gave me those children, not the government. It's not your problem to take care of my children. It's mine. And as much as I love children, I'd adopt as many as I could, and I intend to when my children are out of the house. But it is not the government's place to tell everybody how to live their lives or how to take care of their children. I was at a Republican Party meeting I guess it's probably been a month and a half ago. And I'm not trying to bash the Ponca City superintendent, but I'm probably gonna. She kept saying statements in the meeting like, we had to rescue the children. The children needed rescued. And I just, man, that did not sit right with me. Rescue them from who? Their parents? And we've fallen a long way. Don't get me wrong. I realize our society has decayed immensely since I was a child. I acknowledge that, and it's sad.
Well, how about starvation? I know with
Who's starving in this country with the food stamps and everything else?
God, I know that God says that he could be any child that's ever been born.
Absolutely.
But the problem is the parent is not taking responsibility for his part in providing that food.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole about getting rid of subsidies, but you're right. You're right. There are a lot of irresponsible parents. That's a fact, and it's unfortunate, you know. And I say that I was a single father in the military. I get it. I understand. It's tough sometimes, but there's always these commercials that come out, especially around Christmas time. All these poor children, all these starving children. I don't know one child going hungry. Matter of fact, I know a lot of obese ones, but I don't know anybody starving. And it's just these things, they play on our emotions that, well, the government needs more control. This is absolutely, in my opinion, what we're here against. This is not the government's place, and you know, this is where the church used to be.
Yeah, but
This is
churches are being shut down.
well, why aren't they fighting? Why are they shutting down? Because we have a society that's full of cowards now, and I'm sorry. I know the men and women in this room are not those people, but we have a society of cowards now. Who on earth, when I was growing up, would have thought that we would allow the government to shut down churches? This is uncharted territory for me. I never thought I'd witness this in my life. Dad was a non-vet. I still get chills when I hear the national anthem, when I have to salute those colors, because I know the price that was paid. It was made aware to me at a very young age. And the fact that we're even having this conversation is disturbing to a level I can't express. So what shall we do? And I think that we're getting to a point in this country where there's going to have to be drastic decisions and drastic choices made. I don't take any pleasure in that. Like I said, I've served my colors. But this is not what I signed up for. The things going on right now is not what any of us signed up for that I know. Man, and I will say this. I don't want to. We've got a great speaker coming up. I don't want to go into it too much, but the men that I served with, which I'm still in contact with, when Barack Obama was in, and I beat up on him because he was the last president of a long line of terrible presidents. The things that were done and the things that we've allowed to happen in this country and sat back on our haunches and, well, it's my guy, well, it's your guy. George Bush, not any better. Sorry, I voted for him twice. Very disappointed in the end. The things that we're seeing, the things that have gone on, the time, in my opinion, draws near where the wheat will be separated from the chaff. And, is life so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Because make no mistake, it's been an open thing that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris intend to come after your guns. And when that day happens, you don't have a country left. You can go on the website. Joe Biden thinks you just need a double barrel shotgun to stick out the window and fire a couple rounds and that's it. I mean, this is insanity. There's a whole chain of people for the last decades who don't understand the principle of the Second Amendment and why it was created, which is why we're here. So, like I said, I wish I was on the bearer of better news. We don't know how the election's going to shake out at this point. I still have hope. Dare I go on the camera and say this, I would support a coup at this point.
I've got one question about that.
Sure.
Isn't it that if he keeps conceding, that at some point the Congress gets to vote on who's going to be the president?
Yes.
Correct me on that. How does that work exactly?
Depends on the state. And if I'm not sure I have my facts straight, but I did read an article that said Michigan had gotten to that point. They could not validate the elections so that their state Congress, their House of Representatives, will have to appoint electors. And if that's the case, then yes, all these states that cannot validate election results, which there's probably more than just the swing states that we know about. I mean, this nonsense with the Dominion and Smartmatic, it's a coup against the American people. And how long has this gone on? But they gave us Democrat and Democrat light. So when it was George Bush or something, we were, oh, it's okay. This may be the last American president. I mean, we need to understand that fully and decide what we're going to do as a people, as a state. As a state, we cede powers. We have the right. We don't have to either continue to be part of the union. We don't have to. There was a bill before the legislature, I would say in the last 6 or 8 years, that took the monies, the state or the federal income tax, and held it in an event like this. Of course, the bill did not pass, but it doesn't mean we can't run it this year because tensions are high. I know a lot of people at the Capitol, and tensions are high. We're not alone in that. There's a lot of people that feel the same way, and they happen to hold elective office.
Well, we've got 3 branches of government who will not support the Constitution.
I agree.
Just flat out.
I know.
And if we become a sanctuary state, a 2A sanctuary state, and Mr. Biden and his group become in power, then do we let our governor close our borders to the federal government? And then when I stand up and say, listen, I have the constitutional right, Second Amendment, you're not taking my gun. It's either I shoot them, they shoot me, that's going to come to a boiling point here.
I know. Yes.
So who's going to stand behind this?
That is the question. Now, do we have a governor who's willing to take those measures? I do not know. I can say if I was governor, I guarantee you what would happen.
So that question should be already been brought to him, and he should be making public.
Kevin Stitt's a good governor. He's a good man in my belief. I've met him numerous times, and hopefully we'll be meeting with him shortly.
This stuff can happen in America. That's what everybody thinks.
I agree.
This stuff, it can turn on us in a weekend.
And it's over.
Yeah.
Well, and let's cover one more thing. And I see that it's being blocked from the federal or from the social media sites, and that is, if you guys haven't seen it already, go out and look up the Great Reset or okay. That is, and this has been talked about for many years. This is before Barack Obama even came into office. This has been a decade, 2 decades long at least. And what they want to do is collapse the U.S. dollar. If that happens, we're in trouble. The only thing that's allowed us to do what we've done and be able to stay in the position that we have for the last, well, I'm going on 100 years. It's the U.S. We control the world trade currency. If anybody here doesn't know, and I'm not trying to treat anybody like they don't, but the U.S. trade currency, if one country wants to buy oil from another country, that their marks or whatever they are happens to be monetized into U.S. dollars, because that's the currency. That's the main currency. The stock markets, the trade currencies between nations, this is how it's all set, right? It's the U.S. dollar. 150 years ago, whatever, it was the British pound. They collapsed the British pound. Now they're trying to do it to the U.S. dollar. Because when these things collapse, a lot of people make money. A lot of people seize power. Well, we're talking, freedom dies here. There's nowhere left to go. There's nowhere else on the planet. We are surrounded by socialists, communists, and in the words of Reagan, if we don't stand here, we will sentence our children to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. And that is the sum of what we're dealing with. So I'm going to relinquish my time. I think we've got other people. Thank you, and as always, if you don't have me on social media and you got a question, please add me. I try to help anybody as timely as I can. There will be conversations with the governor. There will be conversations at the State House of Representatives and the State Senate about these matters. It's not just us in a room. We're not in a sound tunnel here. So anyway, please reach out, and I'll help to the best that I can.
Brian, are you on Parliament too?
I am. I think it's Mayor Brian Hobbs. So at Parliament, I need to get on MeWe. Apparently, that's what I've been told. So I'll be doing that soon. So
Thank you, Brian.
thank you guys. Yeah.
I want to brag on one thing on Brian here real quick. We did the flag salute. I noticed the hat was off and he was saluting. The law has changed on that. If you're in the military, used to, you went in the house, you had to take your cover off. You had to be outside to salute with your cover on. Now it is, if you're a veteran, it doesn't matter if you're inside or outside, cover on or cover off. If you're a veteran, stand up and salute, no matter what. You can put your hand over your heart still. That's a new flag code, part of the flag code. If you see a veteran with his hat off saluting, it's because he can't. Okay? It didn't used to be that way. Okay, Josh, he's going to let us know what happens if you do have to use your weapon.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I was after following Brian there, I wish there's a lot I could say, but unfortunately,
I try to keep it tame.
Law Shield has to be neutral. So I will not put my personal feelings behind it, but there's reasons why I do these meetings. Okay. So unfortunately, the way the laws are, no matter what you think of them, no matter what you feel about them, you have to abide by them, okay? So what I'm going to do is walk you through the best way to prepare yourself. What do you say? What do you do? And how do you handle yourself beyond the aspect of using your weapon, okay? First of all, members of Law Shield, raise your hand. That's fantastic. So, as most of you guys know, our partnership with OK2A has spanned several years. We go hand in hand. In fact, one of our lead attorney actually works hand in hand with OK2A and had a hand in writing the constitutional carry law. We're very active in making sure that you have the rights that you need. Okay, and we're going to back it up. We're going to cover you legally if that time comes, but we want to make sure that you don't accidentally cross that line. Okay. Which is very easy to do. So one of the first things I want to cover is where are you most likely to be robbed or to be burglarized? Do you know?
Home.
At your home. In your home. In your own home. Okay. So what would you do during a home invasion? Do you have a plan in place? Everybody prepares for fires, floods, tornadoes. You know, you're more likely to be burglarized than to ever have a fire, flood, or anything like that. Okay. Tornado or anything, well, unless you're in war.
No.
But what are you gonna do? What plan do you have in place? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? Who are you gonna talk to? How are you gonna handle yourself? Okay? Let's walk through that. Let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You hear somebody breaking in, you get up, you grab your weapon, you turn the corner, you are face to face with the intruder. You've got him dead to rights. You've already identified that this person is not supposed to be in my house. Your first move is what?
Shoot him.
You pull that trigger, right? Is he a threat? You have that presumability under the castle doctrine, right? Anybody crosses my threshold goes inside my home, but is not supposed to be there. I can presume he's there to be a threat. Therefore, lethal force is authorized. I have a wife and 4 kids. Do you think I'm going to allow him to take another step? Not a chance. He's going to be dropped where he stands. Okay? Do I have to holler out to him? Do I have to warn him? Do I have to see if he's armed? Okay? Inside your home, you have an absolute right to defense. Absolute right of security and safety. Okay? You can use whatever means necessary to make sure that that threat is no longer a threat. Now, can I legally stand up here and tell you to kill somebody? No. That's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you to stop that threat. Whatever it takes. 2 rounds, 10 rounds, doesn't matter. Now, I did not say execute them. You know the difference of what I'm talking about, right? Okay? You can't just put 5 rounds into them, stand over and put 5 more. Unless he's an OSU fan, then you know whatever. Probably didn't shot myself. Don't go excessive, right? That's the quickest way to go to jail. Now, I've got somebody dead or dying on my floor. What's next? What do I do now? What do I do?
Secure the scene.
Secure the scene. How many home invasions do you think happen with just one person involved? Step 1, is there any other threats I can deal with? Is there anybody else in my house? Over 90% of all home invasions happen with multiple individuals. Why? Because they're probably too cowards to do it on their own. Okay? Is there any other threats that I need to deal with? That is step 1. Step 2, think about this. You have just discharged a firearm, possibly multiple times, inside your home. Is there anybody else still sleeping right now? No. Except followers who probably still sound sleeping. But everybody else is freaking out, right? They're scared. They're crying. They don't know what's going on. Okay? So I'm going to gather everybody up. I'm going to get everybody into one single room away from the scene. First of all, they don't need to see that. Right? Second of all, isn't it going to be easier for me to defend one entry, one exit, and have everybody accounted for right there? Right? So I'm going to gather up everybody. I'm going to get everybody into one single room away from the scene. Now, once I've just cleared that house, I've stapled any of the press that's in there. I've got my family with me. Okay? What do I do with my gun now? Do I just keep a hold of it? What do I do with it?
Reload it.
Really? Not quite. If you anticipate another threat or if there's a possibility, if you need to. But in this case, you need to set this weapon down. I always get people, well, I'm going to holster it. You got a holster at 2 o'clock in the morning, man. You're hardcore. Set this weapon down. Now, this is going to be harder than you think to do. Why? Everybody can agree you're fighting the biggest adrenaline rush you've ever had in your life, right? Every endorphin's going to dump at the same time. Okay? You're going to be gripping onto that weapon white knuckled. Like your life depends on it. There's even a chance you forget it's in your hand. You're going to have to physically tell yourself to put this weapon down. Now, when I set it down, I am not going to unload it. I am not going to unchamber it. I'm going to leave it just as it is. If I have safety, put safety on. I'm not putting it within reach of my kids. I'm putting it to where if I need to access it quickly, I can. But I'm just sitting it down. No, for the love of God, you don't have to wipe your fingerprints off the gun. You'd be surprised how many times I've been asked that. Just set it down. Okay? 2 reasons. Number one, you don't want that in your hand when the police arrive. Okay? Because your instincts, when you start hearing those sirens, you see those lights, if your instincts kick in, well, that's hell. And your body starts moving on instinct to go towards hell. You don't want that gun in your hand. Okay? Set it down. Don't unload it, don't unchamber it. Your house is also a crime scene. That gun is evidence. You start messing with it, tampering with evidence, you're just gonna hurt your case. Okay? Set it down. Don't mess with it. Don't unload it, don't chamber it, leave it just as it is. Now, I've got my family safe. I've disabled the one threat. I've disarmed myself. I've set the weapon down. Now it's time to call 911. Now it's time to get help on the way. And I get asked this all the time. Why am I waiting so long to call 911? You're not. This is happening in about the span of 5 minutes. It's going to happen very, very quickly. Now it's going to feel like time has stood still. It's going to feel like eternity. Okay? But now it's time to get on the phone. But when you get on the phone with the operator, what are you going to say? What are you going to tell them at this point? What would you say? Anybody?
Usually they ask, what is your emergency?
Okay? How would you respond to that? What are you going to say?
And the trigger is coming to my house and I'm home.
Okay? Is anybody think anything different? Okay, so everybody knows, it's common knowledge, 911 calls are recorded, right? Okay.
Right.
It's part of public and permanent record. Can that call be used against you?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Why? Because it's a voluntary statement. You are voluntarily given this information. Okay? With that adrenaline coursing through your veins right now, how do you sound? Excited, anxious, hysterical, right? Are you in any kind of shape to try to answer questions? What are the chances you say something very stupid right now? Okay? We pulled it down to 4 statements. 4 statements, 4 quick statements. Number 1, identify who you are. 2, actually has 2 parts. First part, exact location. Please do not rely on the GPS. Okay? They're going to kick you down your neighbor's door instead of yours. Unless you don't like your neighbor, then you know. Exact location, precisely where you're at. Second part of number 2, where are you inside the home? Where are you inside the home? I'm in the back bedroom on the left, down the hall on the right. Where are you? So that they can come to you. Number 3, I have been the victim of a violent crime. And number 4, I need police and I need an ambulance. And I'm gonna hang up the phone. Don't say anything else. Hang up the phone. Are they gonna try to keep going on? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's their job. Their job is to get as much information as possible and to sustain that line. Now, I have 4 kids that all know what I do for a living. What do you think they're saying right now? Deputy, that was loud. Did you have to shoot that many times? Is he dead? Was there a lot of blood? Do I really want that on recording? No. My youngest would probably say that, actually. But she's a little bit more. Do I want that on recording? No. Okay? Hang up. They try to call back, don't answer. You've given them the information they need. Now, my lawsuit members, now's the time to call lawsuit and get the attorney on the way. Okay? Everybody else, when the police arrive, you want to let them come to you. Let them come to you. Please don't run out to them unless you feel like getting planted hard. Okay? Think about this. They're coming onto a scene. They're not exactly sure what's going on, and somebody comes chasing out or running out to them. What's going to happen to you? You're either going to get shot, tased, sprayed, or planted very, very hard. Okay? Let them come to you. Go ahead and unlock my door. We'll get it. Go get it. Don't worry. Okay? Let them come to you. Don't go right out to them. Now, when they arrive, and they come into that room, first of all, step away from the gun. Officer, I will answer any and all questions, and I'll give you whatever statement is needed as soon as I have been cleared by physician and I've spoken to my attorney. You're declaring two things. Number one, you need medical attention. Number two, you want to speak to your attorney. Can they continue the question after that? Are they required to take you to the hospital to get you medical attention? Yeah. They're not medical professionals. They cannot determine justification though. They cannot determine justification. Only VA can. Okay? So what does that mean? It means you're going to be detained. That means you're going to be handcuffed. You're going to be put in the back of the police car. There's a possibility you're going to get booked into the jail. So I didn't do anything wrong. They don't know that. Can they just come onto the scene and take your word for it? No. Now, they're not idiots. They can kind of see what's going on. But they have a job to do. What's their job? Secure the scene, gather evidence. Okay?
Is that permit them to go through your house?
The day of probable cause, which is your home is.
Go through the drawers, see the safe, try and open it up?
If that's what they deem is necessary, if it's necessary, they have probable cause. Hey, somebody was shot inside that house, that's probable cause for them to enter and search. Okay? Now, whether they go that far, it's up to the detectives. It's up to the personnel. Okay? I can't tell you one way or the other. It's based on the situation, it's based on the scenario. It could be 100 different what ifs thrown in there that could cause it. You know what I mean?
If you're on the scene, I want to make sure that the invader, the intruder is no longer armed.
Just keep it down away.
I'm going to remove that, if it's a handgun, I'm going to remove that handgun. If I have to kick it out of the way, I don't want to.
Don't physically touch it.
Yeah.
Don't physically touch it. But if you need to take it away, take it away. Okay? Let them come to you, say, I will answer any and all questions, I will do whatever statements needed as soon as I've been cleared by physician and I've spoken to my attorney. That means go to the hospital and get checked out. Whether you feel like you need to or not. First of all, with that adrenaline coursing through your veins, you are not in your right mind right now. It's no different than a car accident. You may feel just fine. But when you start coming down off that adrenaline, which is one of the most potent, powerful drugs out there, it can really take a toll on you. So if things start smelling wrong, you want to make sure that you're in a place that they can immediately start taking care of you. But you're also buying yourself that time. Also, you're buying time to get Robert to you. So he can handle it. The time to get your attorney and let him handle it from there. I don't need an attorney, I can handle this on your own. Wrong. Wrong. Okay. Told all the time, well, the police are the good guys. You're right. They are the good guys. They are not the bad guys in the situation. But I can tell you right now, they're not your friends. Not at this point. They're not your friends right now. There's absolutely no good whatsoever, no good from any statement that you give the police right then and there. Anything you said he would use against you, give them right there, correct? Okay? Now, what would happen if you told them something that might help your case? The attorney would put them on the stand and say, such and such time, such and such place, my client gave you a statement. What did he say? The prosecutor's going to pop up, objection, hearsay. You'll go out. But if it's used to hurt your case, they can absolutely use it. Nothing good can come from a statement immediately. Okay? Talk to your attorney first. The first time that you give a full and complete statement on what happened is to your attorney face to face, not over the phone. Okay? Get yourself checked out. Any questions about those steps first? Any questions about the steps that I just walked through of how to handle yourself?
You just hit home to me when you were talking. How many times do we have that number on our phone to be able to
For
call?
lost you? Take a picture of it, save it in your phone, make sure every person around you has it, and have it part of your emergency action plan.
I was just sitting here thinking, I don't have it on my phone.
Have it a part of an emergency action plan, okay? In my house, we prepare over and beyond, so that when that time comes, we know what to do. We know exactly what to do. I can scream out a word in my home, and my kids freeze me right, because they know I'm coming through the word of God. They will come to me as soon as I say the safe word. My kids know how to use tourniquets. I can throw a tourniquet at my son, at my oldest, say left arm. He's got 15 seconds to put that tourniquet on. He can do it. Is it being paranoid? No. It's being prepared. Have a plan in place. Practice that plan. Make everybody that's in your household, even friends that may come over periodically, aware of that plan and know what their role will be if they're there. Okay? Have a plan in place. That is the biggest thing that I can tell you. If a fire takes place, you know what you're doing. If a tornado takes place, you know what you're doing. This is no different. Prepare for it. But beyond that, make sure that you have an attorney ready to get help. Okay? Now let's switch it up a little bit. What if we're in a public space? What if we're in a Walmart parking lot? You're driving. Attracting quite a bit of attention, right? Okay, somebody tries to come up and you defend yourself and you discharge that firearm, you're going to get quite a bit of attention to you, right? You think somebody's already called 911? What do you think they're saying? I know. There's a crazy guy out here with a gun. Right? So what are you going to do at this point? You still need to call. You still need to call yourself the 911 and get help on the way. Now, what you say is going to be a little bit different. What you say is going to be a little bit different. You're going to tell them who you are. If you can, tell them where you're at. Okay? I have been a victim of a violent crime. There's multiple people around me that try to get your location of where you're at in the vehicles and possibly what you're wearing. Okay? I need police and ambulance. Lay it off the phone. What do you do with your gun? In a public space, if you still a threat, I'm gonna have that gun trained on, but as soon as I see those lights or hear those sirens, I'm dropping it. I'm dropping it. Okay? I'm not gonna have that thing in my hand when they arrive. There's only fans and bugs. Okay? Their job is to go home at night. That's their biggest priority. It should be yours too. Okay? Any other questions? All right, for those of you that are not members of Law Shield, we started in 2009 out of Houston, Texas. A group of like-minded attorneys saw the need. They got tired of seeing, time after time, law-abiding citizens defending themselves and protecting themselves, getting caught up in the law and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to mount a defense for something they had every right to do. Every red-blooded American has the right to defend themselves and protect themselves. They should not have to face legal charges because of it. But unfortunately, that's what happens. So what do you do to protect yourself? Go through Google, hope you can find that attorney, and hope he knows what he's doing. There are several attorneys that we call just to see if they can handle that type of case. You know what the average response was? Well, I've never actually dealt with that type of case, but hey, if you want to pay the retainer, I'm willing to learn. Really? Really? Versus our attorney, who has literally written the laws. Who do you want defending you? Okay? That's what we offer you. We offer the best defense, the most zealous defense possible. We're going to go from start to finish. I don't care from the time that you are before you're even arrested, if we can. They're going to get to you. They are physically going to get to you and handle it from the time of the investigation, and we will take it all to the Supreme Court if we have to. Now, we're membership based. Everybody knows that. But our sole goal is to make sure that everybody, no matter what your income level is, has the best defense possible. That should not dictate whether or not you can defend yourself. $10.95 a month. That's it.
That includes civil suits or
Yes, sir.
criminal?
Criminal and civil, doesn't matter. No caps, no limits, no deductibles. I don't care if it was 3 years all the way up to the Supreme Court, costs us $3 million. You will never pay more than your membership fee.
Is it for an individual or household?
It is individually. Each person over the age of 18 has to have their own policy. Okay? We do have options to discount the secondary member on an annual rate, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Okay? $10.95 a month gets you access to your attorney 24 hours a day. No matter where you're at, what's going on. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning or Christmas morning. And it's not a call center. It's not somebody 3 states away taking your information. Who answers the phone? Mr. Robles. And if he can't get it, it's Zach Simmons, second in command. Okay? The actual attorney that's helping you is the one that's going to answer the phone. And they're going to get to you. And if he can't personally get to you, he's going to send somebody your way. Somebody that you trust and has been vetted through us already. Okay? It's usually either Zach Simmons, Carl Douglas, or James Meyer. All of them have insanely good records, especially when it comes to use of force or red props. Okay. If you go travel outside of Oklahoma, there's some states out there that really don't like us, really don't like or even recognize our license, right? Different states, different laws, different attorneys. It's going to cost us more to help you. $2.95 more will cover you in all 50 states. Say that one more time. So the castle doctrine. So they're trying to extend the castle doctrine to the property line, which I 100% agree with. Well, me personally, I agree with it. Okay, law says that's the standard rule, but I agree with it completely. I think if somebody's livelihood is in their truck, they should be able to defend it. You don't get that thing.
Shoot your dog, you build a
Okay, they're working on that. It's not a took back yet. Okay, it hasn't even been presented yet, but I know it is something that OK2A is working on. I don't know if Robles had a hand in this one or not. I'll have to get with them and see. But it is something that I fully agree that they're working on. Law Shield will cover you at home, at work, down the road. I don't care where you're at. Okay. Now, if you go outside of Oklahoma, $2.95 will cover you in all 50 states. Okay, including Washington, D.C., Hawaii, Alaska, and Puerto Rico. Okay. Now, if you go internationally, that's where the state part comes in. That's not us. Okay. But within the continental United States, Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, we'll handle it. It's $2.95 a month. Okay. Even states that don't recognize our license. That means we cover any legal weapon, not just firearms. Okay? Ladies, if your purse is like my wife's, you can knock somebody out with that thing, right?
So if I pick up my rolling pin and club them and they die, I can be protected?
Absolutely. In defense of yourself.
Yeah, it's marble.
Wow. Okay. That put it outside the end of somebody's head. Sorry for your spouse. Now, any legal weapon, if you're legally allowed to be where you're at, possessing a legal weapon or legally defending yourself, we're going to protect you too. Okay? $2.95 a month will cover you in all 50 states. Now, the most important one we have, bail bonds and expert witness. Where we can come push your bond. We'll pay up to $50,000 to get you out, get you back home. That is the most important one we have. Any of these options you can add at any time. But the reason I say this one's the most important one, and to get it today and not wait, when are you going to remember to do it? When you're in handcuffs. By that time, it's too late. Okay? You can't call me the day of, hey, can you put that bond thing up? It doesn't work that way. Okay? That's the only one that I say is an absolute must. Everything else you can add whenever you want. Now, if you have minor kids at home, we have an option to cover them. It's $2 a month. We'll cover all your kids. Okay? As long as they reside in your household within for at least 6 months out of the year. We'll cover grandkids, kids, as long as they reside at the household for at least 6 months out of the year. Hunter shield, hunters, fishermen, please know game wardens are the most powerful law enforcement in the state. Okay? A lot of areas have real good game wardens. They work hand in hand with them. There's some areas where they really overstep their bounds. They have no jurisdiction restrictions, just about. They can pretty much, they can even go to your home and search your home without a warrant. Thanks to an old 1903 federal law that's still in act today. Okay? Some of the steepest fines, fees, and penalties come through hunting and fishing. That's why we have part of the program that is dedicated just towards that. It's $295 as well. You add it on, if you're hunting or fishing, you get ticketed from a game warden, we'll handle it. Now, if you are intentionally breaking the law, if you know you're doing wrong, you're on your own. Okay? You're on your own. Last one, gun owner identity theft. This is a more recent add to our program. It's a little bit more expensive than the others, but it's the reason being is the number of cases that we had to take on is dealing with lost or stolen guns. Okay, we're going to act as your attorney in that aspect, where you don't have to call the police and file a report. You'll call us, we'll file a report, and it will also block any kind of liability that may come your way if it's used in a crime. Okay, you shouldn't have to deal with all that because somebody decided they wanted to try to take it from you. This one's a little bit more expensive than $695 a month to add, only because we have a ton of cases that on a weekly basis when it comes to stolen guns. Okay, if you were to take every single option we have, you're just under $30 a month, but you're not going to need every option. That is exactly why we split it up, so you're not paying for something you don't need. If you don't hunt or fish, of course, you're not going to need the hunter shield. If you don't have kids, of course, you're not going to need minor child. If you don't travel all the time, you can call us before you take a trip, put the multi-stick on, when you get back, take it off. Only pay for what you're going to need. The only ones that I say are an absolute must, no one's an expert witness. If you have a decent gun collection, you're going to ride it. Okay? Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it monthly, or you can do it annually. With our partnership with OK2A, anybody that does it annually, you're going to get a couple added perks. First of all, you're going to get 2 months free. So you're going to pay for 12, we're going to cover you for 14. On top of that, your spouse or a secondary member, you got a discounted rate. Okay? So it's $131.40 for the primary. We're going to drop the secondary down to $108.60. As well as, anybody that signs up annually is going to get access to our emergency first aid course that we're trying to put on out here. This is a fully certified course. It's usually $40 for members, $60 for non-members. We'll be able to come to it at no cost. Okay? So, if you're not a member of Lawship, raise your hand for me real quick so I can give you an application. Now, I want to stress, this is not a contract, guys. This is an at-will statement saying, I want to be a part of the program. You can cancel anytime. You can make changes at any time. We're not insured. That's a good thing. That means we don't have underwriters. We don't have people saying, well, you didn't do this, and this, therefore you're not covered. Okay? You can make any changes at any time. You can cancel any time. In fact, if you cancel within 7 days, you get a full refund, 100%. If you go beyond the 7 days, we'll just refund what you haven't used. Okay? So there's absolutely no risk in doing it. Now, okay, hands up again for me. If you were a couple, you just need the one. Primary is going to be on top, secondary on the bottom. I am not going to assume. Last time I assumed, the lady chucked a pin at my head. And what do I mean about couples? 2 consenting adults over the age of 18. Other than that, I am not asking questions.
Would you fill up your life with prayer?
I should. All right, any other questions for me, guys? If you have the application, I would love for you to take a second and fill them out while you're here. I've got your membership. Just need one. I've got your membership pack to get you members tonight and get you taken care of before you get out of here. Any kind of misinformation or anything that you guys may have heard that you're not sure about that I can straighten out for you? Oh, my apologies.
So, in that scenario that you gave, every single time, would we take him to jail every time?
It's at the discretion of the officer, but 9 out of 10, 10 times, if you discharge your firearm and somebody is hurt or dead or severely injured, chances are you're going to be detained.
Another question, so if, I mean, obviously, we pull to shoot, shoot to kill.
Right?
But if by some chance it doesn't kill them, then is there a possibility they can come back and sue us?
They can sue you no matter what. Even if you kill him, he's got family, friends somewhere around there that's going to try to come at you.
And law shall protect that
Yes.
also.
We're going to fight that as well. Now, what we have done in the past is get civil immunity. If you're cleared of all charges, then the attorney can file a motion with the judge to grant you civil immunity before you can't be sued. Okay? That's actually happened with one of the chairman of OK2A, Pastor Victor. Okay?
How does the bond work?
The bond, we're going to come in and close the bond, just like we do the bond. We'll take care of it, so you don't have to mess with it. Okay? Any other questions for me? If you need pens, I've got pens back here I can give you. Anything else? All right, guys, I'm going to stick around for the rest of the meeting. I really appreciate your time. If you've got a second, fill these out, please do so, and then bring it back to me, and I'll get you taken care of. If you have questions, please come talk to me. And if you decide that you're going to hold off, come talk to me still. Let me give you my cell phone so that you can reach me at a later time. Okay? Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. I've been a member for about 3 years now, and I've had to use it twice. One time, pit bulls came on my property, was chasing me around. I had to shoot one. I called law officer, and they told me exactly what to do, what to say, when the sheriff's came. It saved me, because there's cruelty to animals laws and rules I didn't know about when you have to do something like that, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 Rottweilers, and so I would have to put my dogs out too before the cops would show up with the big shit.
Probably so. Anyway, being an old school biker and everything, I had everybody that I do in their phones under ICE in case of emergency. In case they went down, I could go to the phone, everybody could go to their phone, pull it up, go to ICE, and then know who to call. We can do the same thing with this number, with these numbers. It's ICE. Remember, ICE, it's all you gotta remember, it's in case of emergency.
Every phone, every smartphone you have has that capability.
ICE.
Save our number.
Yeah,
save
the
our
ICE.
emergency number in that so that you can, it'll automatically.
Because I guarantee you, in a panic, you won't remember U.S. lost you, U.S. Texas, Oklahoma, what was the attorney's name? No, just remember ICE. There's one thing at the last meeting I went to in Oklahoma City was, I don't know how many of you open carry, but there's been a problem with under the armpit shoulder holsters. The way the law reads, it has to be pointed down or at an angle. Okay, under armpit holders, if they're straight back, the DEs, the DA is going to get you for felony pointing. Because if you turn around, whatever, where's my pistol point? Okay, now if it's covered, it's okay, it's concealed. But if it's not covered, and you're out in the open, they will get you for that, so be careful if you're carrying open. Okay, thanks, Joss. Man, it's paid for itself with me. It's a good thing. Any other questions about that or anything that's going on? Appreciate you, Brian.
Yeah.
Any other questions? The meeting's officially over?
Well, I'd like to say one more thing. Any law against firearms is unconstitutional.
There you go, yes.
Remember that.
I agree with that, 100%.
Okay. Oh, lady, if you're concerned about kids being hungry, in Deer Creek, the 3rd Tuesday in the morning, there's a church. Now, you have to fill out a form when you first get there the first time. But then you stay in the line, they'll give you boxes of food. If you've got a next door neighbor,
I think there's one in Palmy too.
is there one in Pumpkin? But I know this one in Deer Creek. If your neighbor, can't get out, if there's kids that are hungry, go get it yourself, then take it to them. We all can help that way. If we know neighbors who are elderly that can't get out.
Bethesda Church in Blackwell also.
Yes.
Also does the same thing.
This church right here has a food bank also.
You do? Okay.
See?
Scott.
Steve.
Steve. He's busy, sorry. Tell us about the food bank with this church. How's it work? You have a food bank?
Yeah, you call the pastor or, there's a Mike Grad that handles it.
Okay.
The pastor will probably give you his name, and, we've got a food pantry where they'll bring out your kids' food.
So, yeah, anybody's hungry in this country at this point.
Yes, there's plenty of people that help everybody.
So real quick, we have questions. Any of your questions for him to say out loud? So I want to hear one more time.
I think, Oklahoma doesn't have red flag law, but if a neighbor called and said they were scared of me or they considered me a threat or something like that because I have guns in my house and they go after me, and the cops show up, well, U.S. law should have covered that.
So, we have laws where it has to be processed. They can't just come in and take your guns without a warrant or without a judge issuing an order. You're in the wrong. If they have some reason you're we have it.
I would like to point out too, a friend of mine, Nathan Dahm, senator, with OK2A, passed the first anti-red flag law in the country, and that should be commended and remembered. And so, and if you're not familiar with what that is, you may Google it, look it up. It deters things like you're talking about. So.
Anybody else have any other questions or anything like to say or add? If not, meeting's over. Appreciate y'all coming. Please sign in to get on the email list and phone call list so we can text or whatever. This information further in the future, we can get it all out to everybody. And again, Terry apologizes that he can't make it. He was a little sick this morning. Had a little bit of a fever. Now he did say for next month in December here, there's going to be an open mic. Next meeting, there'll be an open mic. He said anybody can come up and talk about anything they want, anything they want to discuss or tell us or whatever. Open mic next meeting here. Thank you.